Hi, this is Jeanette from Happy Spots and Ink Spots, and today I'm going to be showing you how to color in this really sweet image. She's from LaLa Crafts, and she's from the May release, and her name is Scout Marci. I really like these images to color, and I often teach using these images just because there's an awful lot of open space that allows you to practice your blending. They're really fantastic images. So to get started, I'm going to start with the face, and I'm going to be taking E00. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I like to start with my lightest color, and I add it to the areas where at the end of my coloring I'm going to want to see those areas the most shaded. So this is where I'm thinking my shadows are going to be. So it lays down a nice sort of groundwork for you to work off of. And I'm only going to be doing her face right now, and we'll do the rest of her skin after. So after that, you're going to take E00, and again, you're just going to go back over what you already colored with your E00. So under here, her bangs, there would be a shadow there. My light source is coming directly onto her face, so the center is going to be lighter and the edges are going to be darker. And there'll be a shadow here under her chin. After that, I'm going to be taking E11. It's quite a strong color, and so I will be adding just a little bit of this. If you add too much, your image sort of looks a little bit orange almost. So this area would be where her cheeks would be, so adding some there. Some more under her bangs. Don't be afraid too when you're coloring to move your image around, just so that it's at a better angle for you to color in. And then again, I'm going to just put a little bit under her chin. I'm going to take my E00, and now I'm going to work into that colored area. So where I see the line, I'm going to start a little bit before that, and I'm just going to work into the line. That way I get rid of that sort of ugly line, but I don't lose my contrast. So again, I turn this around, and I'm going to work into the line. Okay, at this point, I usually take my colorless blender. I like to leave the area around her eyes uncolored, but again, it's your choice if you want to color it in. So what I usually do is I sort of go in around it after I've laid in my first sort of set of shading, just to make sure that it stays white. Okay, after that I'm going to take my R20, which is my blush color, and I'm going to add that in on her cheeks, just like that. And then I'm going to take my E00 again so that I can blend that out. because again, you want just a really soft, flawless grading in your shading. You don't really want to see any harsh lines. And so then finally, I will take that lightest shade again, which is E00, and again, I'm going to work just into my coloring, and then a little bit beyond. And you'll find in this way, you really keep your contrast. Just turn it around a little bit. And you can go beyond. If you're seeing that it's maybe a little bit too dark, you can just go ahead and push some of that color. Okay. Now I don't want to work it too much, because what ends up happening is when it's wet, it appears darker, and then when it dries, it's a little lighter. So I'm going to wait and see when it's dry if there's anything I need to touch up. So then we're going to go and we're going to do the rest of her skin. So again, I'm working with my E00, and I'm just going where I think my shadows are going to be. So underneath her skirt, underneath the cuff, there'll be a bit of a shadow here from her torso. Then my E00, I'm going to go back over what I just already colored. And then E11. And again, you don't want to put a whole bunch of this on, it's quite dark. Okay, so then I'm just going to work now in reverse. E00, and again just working into that color. Okay, and then finally my E00. Okay. I still find the cheeks here a little bit dark, so now that it's dry, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to color right over it. Okay, now for her lips, I'm going to start with my R20, which if you remember was what I used for her cheeks. And then I'm going to take R22 and I'm just going to go over that. You can leave the center a little uncolored, and then you get that sort of nice little sheen on her lips. Okay, so now we're going to start with her hair, and I'm going to make her a nice light blonde. I'm going to start with my E50, and if you look at her hair, you can see that this bang here is lying on top of this area here, and the same here. Okay, you can sort of see where the hair is lying on top of itself. And so of course wherever the hair is lying on top of more hair, this area here is going to have more shadow. So I'm going to be adding my E50 to that. And again, her hair is curved, her head is curved, and so this part here will be sort of bumped out or pushed out a little bit, and it will be closer to the light, so it will be lighter. So you want to leave that area light. Always I color the ends darker for a ponytail, and then the part where it is tied is darker. Okay, I'm going to do the same here on this other side. I'm going to go ahead, color that bump darker. Again, the tips of the ponytail. And I try to go in the direction of the hair. Now for this area here, I'm simply going to follow those curves with my marker and just add my color. It's really just follow these lines that have been drawn for you. Okay. The next color I'm putting on is YR30. It's one of the new Copic colors that was released this year, and it's become one of my favorites. It's a little yellow, a little bit, a little bit of red in there as well, but it's not overwhelming. And so with this, I'm going over what I already colored so that those two colors can sort of blend together. Okay. And now I'm ready for my darker shade, which is going to be E31. I'm going to be a little more careful when I'm adding this. This is my darker shade. So I want to be careful to just really add it to the shadowed areas. And again, just follow the curve, the lines that are there. They're really going to help you. And then again here, you're just going to follow those curves. And you want this sort of line to sort of follow where your lightest area is. You want it to sort of be in line with each other. I'm just going to go ahead and just add a little bit more. With Copics, once they dry, if you add the same color over itself, you get a deeper shade of it. Alright, so now I'm ready to work in reverse. I'm going to be pulling out my YR30. And again, you're going to work into the darker shade. You don't ever really want to start here and come out because you're just going to be pushing that shadow and you'll lose your contrast. So this is a better way to do it. Again, I'm leaving that little area uncolored. Alright, so almost done here. Okay, and then finally you're going to take your E50 and you'll just sort of fill in those areas that were left white. You don't have too much to do at this point, it's already pretty much blended for you. Okay, so that's it. Now if you want a little more contrast in your hair, because some people like a little bit more contrast, you would just again go with your E31 and you would just really just make a few concentrated little flicks in the areas that you want to see darker. And when I say flicks, I mean you push down and up. So when you do that, where you push down is going to have the most ink, and where you flick up is going to have the least. So that way, most of the time if you do that, you don't really have to go back in and blend. And you can see that just gave it a little bit more contrast.